Hey, what is up guys, GuitarRock here, welcome back to another Brown Dust 2 video. So I figured let's talk about the current Powder of Hope shop. If you guys are not aware, there's a new session or new category of characters right there, right? So the old one for the Golden Thread is still going to be the same. As you can see, this one is going to change next week, 15 days more. Track and field Loen, again, I feel like Loen is one of the strongest fire characters, so ideally getting this is going to help you a lot. Especially to try to improve. If you guys haven't already, definitely consider getting this up to +1. That's going to be the important one. Ideally, +4 is going to make her even stronger because she boosts herself, which is going to be very important for the Bunny Loen and the other one, right? But let's talk about Powder of Hope. As you can see, this time around we got not 4 characters, but 5. 5 characters right here. We got Dark Knight Lethal, we got Red Riding Hood Rue, we also have Poolside Guardian Zenith, B rank Idol ELEANEER, and of course Shadow Bunny ELEANEER. 2 versions of ELEANEER right here. Now, if you guys did not watch my previous video of how strong ELEANEER is, I highly recommend considering her. She's going to make it much easier for you to be able to tackle 3 teams from now on, because this is going to be very crucial for her. Her stopping point is going to be +4. Alright, so ideally for this particular costume, if you want to use her as a DPS, then get her up to +5. But in most cases, +4 is going to be the good stopping point, because you can see right here, she is going to be improving the buffs, increase allies attack or magic attack by 60%, alright? As opposed to 40%, and also she applies vulnerability to the enemy, right? So that 40% increase to 50%. Very big difference right there. So highly consider her. She is going to be one of the more relevant characters. I do think that out of all of this bunch, she's going to be one of the better ones. So right now, +5 is just going to boost her attack a little bit more. Again, less useful. Now, I feel like after using her for a while during the last Fiend Hunter rotation, she's actually quite flexible, right? So I do think that if you are lacking a supporter, a lot of you guys who are playing, maybe you are new, maybe you don't have a, you might not have, let's say, Terry Swimsuit, which is a limited character. You might not be, you're still using 3 stars or 4 stars like Arenas and stuff to buff your team. That's fine, alright? But consider getting her, even if you get her at +0, right? Even if you get her at +0, this 20% and 30% vulnerability is still going to be way better, right? But at least get her to +1, right? +1 is a good stopping point as well. If you can't afford to go to +4, this is going to be reducing her SP, 4 SP, way more manageable, right? So by default, she's like 6 SP. You get her to 5 SP here. Increase her potential liberation to 4 more SP. There we go. Alright, so she is going to be a very good, crucial, relevant character. Now, Shadow Bunny ELEANEER aside, who is going to be, in my opinion, the second best one, right? So again, Shadow Bunny ELEANEER should be a priority. Everyone else right here pales in comparison. Now, I feel like, we can debate the second priority between Poolside Guardian Zenith and Red Riding Hood Rue. Now, Rue recently got buff, alright? So she now can have the ability to perform crit damage buff, you can see right here, right? If you are to max her out, she's a 2 SP character now that gives you crit rate 50% and crit damage by 300%. Now, crit rate, if you guys are not aware, is mostly useless in a Fiend Hunter situation or also in like guild rate situation. Why is that? Is because you can practically guaranteed crit rate. You don't really need crit rate, but in regular PvE content, maybe in Tower of Salvation, that's where this particular stat shines, right? So crit damage, however, is going to be very useful. 300%, not too bad right there. As you can see, if you are trying to get her up, her +3 is going to be very important, quite expensive to reduce the SP. And then +4 and +5 is going to further improve the crit damage %. Now, the problem with her is not going to be the crit damage % buff. That one is good and all. But we already have other characters that can do that. For example, Rafitia herself, right? So Rafitia is going to be a way better character because she can rotate between all her support costumes. She gives property damage, she gives crit damage %. She also gives, SP cost reduction. So she does way more, alright? So Rue, if you use her, this one is going to give her crit damage %. It's going to give your team that, sure. But her other costume is much more for like, way more niche. This one is much more for PvP, right? This one is going to be much more for... Wait, this one is the one that's for PvP. This one is going to be much more for single target bosses, right? It's not so good for most Fiend Hunter cases. This one, I guess, is okay. But the range, even the range is not that impressive, right? It could be a skip 3x3 or something, but it's alright. So in most cases, I would say if you get her up to like a good stopping point, in my opinion, would be a +3. If you can get her there, you want to go up higher, go for it. If not, I would say she's kind of meh, right? Crit damage is kind of good again, but I wouldn't focus on building her right now. Even if you're new, right? Even if you're lacking in a lot of supporter, try to get Liberta, Helena. Those should be your priority. For most players, I think you will get more value or better value out of Poolside, Guardian, Zenith. In my opinion, this one should be your second priority, not Rue. I'll place Rue maybe at like third. Poolside, Guardian, Zenith. She's strong. She is going to complement the other Zenith right here. So what this Zenith does, both of them are going to apply focus fire or concentrated fire on the enemy for skip tile. Alright, so this one is going to apply vulnerability and also can do this thing for the chain one. Wait, this particular one can also do the chain damage taken. Now granted, it is only increased by 1 tile. Now the best Zenith combo is either going to combo with Wilhelmina, which is going to be the other character that can stack chain by a bunch, and also Hikage. Hikage is going to be a collab character. Sadly, you cannot obtain her anymore, so that's just going to be unfortunate. However, Hikage in most cases just... your objective is just to stack chain, right? Stack chain, stack chain, stack chain. As you can see, this particular, I have the prestige skin, so this one is going to be the one that you can, you know, apply the concentrated fire, apply vulnerability, and then you come back to here and then apply more chain damage taken for 4 turns. So this one is going to basically, you are going to rotate between these two costumes, right? Very, very good. You can see this particular costume, if you max it out, is going to be a 0 SP costume. So Zenith is just mostly going to come from this. This is going to be a 2 SP one. So she's a very cheap budget character. So ideally you are using her just to be able to rotate between these two costumes. She doesn't need a third one in my opinion, right? She doesn't really need a third costume, but she works perfectly. If you can get her in any single target situation against any like campaign bosses and stuff, that's where she shines, right? You pair her with Wilhelmina, she is going to do a lot of damage. I mean, she's not going to do a lot of damage, but Wilhelmina is going to do a lot of damage, right? You're going to get the buff from her. So consider her as a second option. I think she's going to be a better one. Now as for B-rank idol Elena, if you intend to get her to use her as a DPS, now Elena do have 3 costumes, right? This is something that you guys need to be aware of. You can see she has 3 costumes right here. The problem with her as a DPS, in my opinion, in the dark type category, she's just being dominated by 2 other dark type physical characters. That's going to be Blade and Luvinsha. Blade and Luvinsha is just by far way better investment for most players, right? If you guys are not aware, Luvinsha, you know, she has a way more tile. She can do way more chain damage 8 times on both these costumes. She's just... Luvinsha is really broken, man. Until today, she's still really broken. Alright, she can do 8 times on both costumes. This is like some sort of insane range. There's also Blade, which is another character that's much more niche for sure. But Blade, this particular one, very, very good in PvE because of this massive range, right? Very, very useful in that particular case. You also get this particular one, which can basically counter as well. Again, very, very strong. Again, Blade, both costumes are going to be very strong. Also, Blade is going to get a 3rd costume very, very soon. They did tease that previously. So that's going to be something to consider as well. In my opinion, if I'm leaning towards like DPS physical, for dark type, Blade and Luvinsha is better. ELEANEER, I think she's even the developers know. I think the developers know that, oh man, it's so hard for her to compete. Let's just make her a support. That's why she now has a 3rd costume that is a support costume, because she's no longer a DPS character, right? You mostly use her as a support. She's good as that, but she's just not that great for DPSing. Also, if you want to use her to remove buff, you can do that, because she's a character that can, for those of you who are not aware, this particular one, oh, this one doesn't have the remove buff. She applies silence for this particular one, but the other one can be used to remove buff. This particular one, remove buff from the enemy, can remove taunt and stuff, right? This one is going to be the better one. So all in all, I wouldn't recommend this particular one unless you really need the silence. Occasionally, maybe can be useful in some situations, but in most cases, get the bunny Elena instead, right? That's going to be the important one. And the last but not least, the only male character, the only dude in this particular selection, Dark Knight Lethal. Now, what do I think of this particular dude, right? In my opinion, you can skip this one because like the one that you want to get is Homunculus Lethal. This one is like whatever. Apply energy guard to yourself. Okay, cool. Apply barrier. Maybe useful in PvP to make yourself tanky, but you know, there's better characters for that. They have taunt and stuff. He doesn't have taunt. So in most cases, this is perhaps, I can say, his most useless costume, right? Now, I'm sure some people can find uses out of this or usage out of this. I'm sure, right? But in my opinion, it's just like, compared to all the other costumes, the other ones basically have way more situation to use, right? This one can at least stack chain, and this one is like 2 SP, this one is 1 SP, can buff, this one can do a lot of single target damage, this one can also stack chain, it's a 3 times hit, this one is also a 3 times hit, can boost himself. But this one, I feel like, it's just not that useful. You need survivability. Maybe you can use him, but there's just better options for that, right? That's just going to be my opinion for later, right? I'm not a later hater, but it's just this costume is just not it, man. But yeah, that's going to be what it is. So with that being said, that's going to be it for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, give this video a like. Let me know what you guys think of the selection choices. I think if you don't get Shadow Bunny ELEANEER, you know, you haven't obtained her already, please consider getting her now. If not, just wait for... If you guys want to wait bunny tier, I will have a testing video later, show you guys the results of tier the bunny, so that you can save for the next Bundle of Hope. That could be considered as well. Alright, like the video, subscribe, see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day, goodbye.